Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years of experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. And through this channel, I'll be providing some stock analysis and also an update on our $1 million challenge, so please stay tuned. In the previous video, I shared with you my top 10 stocks to invest, forget and retire. So these are stocks with low risk, but with a good history of recovery over 5 years. So please refer back to the previous video for a stock analysis of my personal top 10 stocks to invest and retire. So before we start today's stock analysis, a quick reminder of the $1 million challenge. This is a journey of an investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is to try to achieve 201 trades, each with a return of 3.5%. And it's not 201 consecutive trades. We do take into account losses. So once you join us on the challenge, you'll get access to an exclusive in-depth strategy video which explains the process step by step. You'll also be part of our Discord community, which is well in excess of 300, where people will be sharing due diligence, trading tips, technical analysis, research, buy alerts, etc. In the Discord area, you'll be able to read our agreement, FAQs, you can chat and ask questions, and also get access to the stock spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is something that is updated weekly with low and medium risk stocks, color coordinated using Google Finance formula. And we also have a leaderboard to celebrate the success of the members taking part in the challenge, which is very popular at the moment, and also something that is you'll be able to hopefully join on there and get access to. So details in description below. In today's video, I'm going to be looking at the interview with George Balikaris and Ken Wright, the CFO of Metamaterials, in terms of their interview with Sterling Stocks. So I'd like to give a huge shout out to Sterling Stocks for a great and wonderful interview with George. So on the screen here, you'll see that this interview took place on Sterling Stocks YouTube channel on the 10th of January. It was just uploaded. So shout out to Sterling, great job on the interview. Let's now see if we can pick out any clues in terms of where the company is going, potential information with regards to the dividend, and the overall general feeling from this interview. In one of my previous videos, I did pose 5 very difficult questions for George, so please refer back to the previous video where I talked about potential difficult questions for George. One of these questions was with regard to the MMTLP shares being tradable. So with regard to Sterling's interview with George, I'd like to give a shout out here to Bare Minimum Lawn, who has identified a comment here. And thanks to Sterling Stocks, who's replied, and he's basically said here, great job Sterling, what do you think George mean when he said the original Torchlight holders get the maximum value? So Sterling has replied here, and he said people who held all the way through merger, he still wants them to get the best value they can for those oil assets of Torch. So it's a good and positive statement here from George in terms of his general opinion that people who held on the qualifying dates of dividend for investors, original investors of Torchlight Energy, they should get the maximum value. Whether or not this can actually happen in real life is time will tell. So, but the good news is George certainly seems to be of the opinion that in terms of the MMTLP tradable shares, where people could potentially buy them and get the dividend, this is not what the original outcome and the intention was. So let's see how this plays out. The next question I'd like to address is with regard to the potential spin out in terms of the dividend into Oilco. This was also one of the questions that I covered in my previous video where I looked at 5 potential questions for George. So again, with regard to the interview with Sterling, I'd like to give a shout out now to Ski21, who's asked a question here where he said, sounds like he said most likely a spin out. So Sterling has confirmed here, bingo, per last PR as well. So again, there does seem to be more of a likelihood that the shares, in terms of the preference shares, these could be converted into a spin out. It is now looking unfortunately increasingly unlikely that we will get a sale of assets and a special dividend in terms of some of the calculations that many of the people, analysts and YouTubers did look at, including myself. So unfortunately, it's looking like we may have confirmation that it's going to be a spin out. The next question I'd like to address is with regard to any potential value of the special dividend and also any potential value of any proposed shares in Oilco. So for this question, in terms of clues from the interview, I'd like to give out shout out here to Leo, and Leo has made a great point here in terms of Sterling's comments on his video. So Leo has said here, great video and great information, Sterling. Thank you for making the trip and the fantastic interview. The only thing I wish you wouldn't speculate on without any solid numbers is the dividend. You claim $1 to $3, and in your interview at 33 minutes and 48 time mark, George says the preferred A shareholders should be very proud of the team that he has put together. Then Ken says the shareholders will be very pleased, full stop. That sounds like a better dividend with regard to what you're speculating on, and we all have our opinions. So what Leo is saying here is referring to the speculation from Sterling of potential $1 to $3, and in response to the reply from George and Ken, and the clue from Ken here is that shareholders will be very pleased. So let's hope this is true. Let's obviously give it time and see the potential outcome, but certainly I hope what Ken is saying here is true and that we are very pleased. And finally, what I'd now like to do is focus on Metamaterials, any competitors they have, and also trading on the NASDAQ, jumping on the NASDAQ through the merger with Torchlight Energy Resources. So let's now have a look at a snippet from the interview, and on the screen here you'll see a statement here from Ken and then a statement from George from the interview with Sterling. So let's delve a little bit deeper into these and see if we can pick anything out. So first of all, what Ken has said, he says we don't really have any direct competitors, so he's referring to Metamaterials there, which is good again in terms of their nanotechnology and their potential for AR, and also with the number of patents that they have. That certainly seems to be the case, but what we have is alternatives. So in other words, there's acknowledgement here that they do have competitors. So obviously we have competitors in Apple, we have other competitors as well, in companies involved in AR. Further on, he now states people have their own views of what else they might be able to do in lieu of what we do. George has just explained a lot of our mission over the past few years, and even going forward, is part of the education. We have to teach our outlets why we are different and why the alternatives are suboptimal. That takes time. So he's finished off by focusing on the word time. So again, that indicates it's more of a long-term play. It also indicates that the Metamaterials is going to be different. It is going to be a good alternative, but obviously it's going to be a long-term hold. Let's now delve a little bit into what George has said. So further down, let's have a look at the statement from George and see if we can pick out any clues in terms of where the company Metamaterials is going. So what he said is it was very important to come to the NASDAQ. When you're a small company, even if you have the best technology, that's what's called vendor risk. So he's referring to Metamaterials previously trading on the OTC. Torchlight Energy was previously trading on the NASDAQ. Metamaterials is now on the NASDAQ, and we could have a situation where Torchlight Energy will now be the preferred shares will now be converted into Oilco and trading on the OTC. So a kind of a reversal. So moving on to in terms of what George is now saying, when you are a small company, even if you have the best technology, that's what it's called the vendor's risk. It means that if your supplier cannot really deal with the big boys, then you have to be a tier 2 or tier 3 supply through someone else, and you can just become a license plate, and that's it. So he's referring to the limitations of the OTC there. He's also said here there are 100 companies that dine on the vine because they cannot jump onto the manufacturing level and create for themselves the credibility to be a one-tier supplier. So being on the NASDAQ allows us to raise more capital, definitely true, more efficiently than any other exchange. So obviously the key reason for going on the NASDAQ here is to raise more capital, is to give them more credibility, and obviously is to give more confidence in terms of the business and trust. So that's one of the key objectives of Metamaterials trading on the NASDAQ. Let's see the final paragraph at the bottom. The access to capital is one, and then again the NASDAQ allows us to attract the talent. So he's referring to key specialist staff. He's also finished off by saying here, with regard to staff, you will have noticed that we've attracted some amazing people. I agree with that. And we will continue to do so. And NASDAQ allows us to have unlimited upside for not only for our shareholders but our employees, which we make part of the ownership. So the employees do have shares in Metamaterials. We offer options, etc., and make sure they have a fair share part of the upside of the potential success of the company. And finally, I'd just like to finish off by sharing my overall opinion in terms of the interview. I think it was an excellent interview, so credit to Sterling for getting this interview with George. And if anybody wants to subscribe to Sterling's channel, go ahead. It's an excellent, has excellent coverage of Metamaterials. And in terms of overall opinion of the interview with George and Ken, I don't think we had any significant breaking news in terms of potential catalysts. We didn't get any breaking news in terms of any potential contracts. We are still getting promises of the future. We're still in the situation where there is a significant amount of speculation with regard to the dividend. Hopefully over time more information will be released, and fingers crossed there will be good news and Metamaterials will hopefully come good. And finally, if anybody would like to join us on our Discord, details are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.